Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Unfiltered Artist Podcast. I'm your host, Julie Ruby, and today we have a very special guest on the podcast. I have Miss Malorie Hanson.
Hello. Hi.
Okay, so we have been working together for quite some time. Has it been since 2019, maybe?
Oh, gosh. Probably around that time. Maybe even before. We should look at our Instagram messages because I feel like that would tell the whole story. That's how it began.
Dang, we should have prepared.
Yeah.
We weren't prepared.
Yeah, we probably should have.
It's okay. No, because I started in 2018 because I worked for Mac up until then.
Okay.
And then I swear that it was my very first year of being a serious
It
freelancer.
was. It was because I kept seeing your name pop up and I'm like, I'm going to message this girl because she looks like somebody that we would like get along, you know? I loved your vibe.
Yeah, yeah. Did you find me first then?
I think I did. Yeah,
No,
I just
because
kept
it was that
seeing.
wedding that you had me assist with, remember, in Kokomo? I think that was our first wedding together.
Yeah, but we met at Panera, remember? We had lunch and we met and we were like just kind of getting each other's vibes.
Yes.
And like it was just like such a networking thing at first, you know? I was just like, okay, let's do this.
Yes.
It was good.
Since we have been assisting each other for a while, I know that obviously your story goes way before that. So if you wouldn't mind sharing your story about where you got started, how that happened for you.
Sure. So it goes back a long time ago.
Tell everybody.
The tale begins.
Tell us all.
Now, I started freelancing actually for a skincare company called Shiseido. And it was at Macy's in Fort Wayne in Glenbrook Square. And I met this woman who offered me this insane job in Chicago, basically. So I moved there and then worked as a counter manager for Shiseido for a while on Michigan Avenue in sales. And that was a nightmare for me, like a literal nightmare.
No.
I had no idea what I was doing. I just kind of jumped into it at 22 and like just tried it. You know, I just tried it.
Yeah, gotta
and I didn't love that. So that is what led me to, okay, what can I do now? Because sales obviously aren't going to work out for me. And that's when I went to cosmetology school.
Okay.
So it was like a long journey. Before that, I was just doing everyone's hair and makeup. I just loved it. I just loved the fashion and the beauty and all the pretty things, you know, that makeup
of course, yeah.
and hair involved, which was exciting,
Yeah, very.
but also terrifying.
I'm sure.
Like
Just
this
to jump
little
right in.
small town girl, like end up on Michigan Avenue. I'm like, how did I get here? How?
But that seems kind of fabulous at the same time.
It was fabulous.
Yeah.
But then, you know, you learn as you go and you're like,
Did you feel like a little bit of imposter syndrome?
absolutely. I still do every day.
Don't we all?
Yeah. And it's a real thing. It's okay.
It is a real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was wild. But yeah.
Okay, cool. So where did you go after that then?
So then I went to cosmetology school in Chicago. I stayed there and I loved my school. Like it was so much fun. It was just such a blast. It was, you know, you clock your hours and then you kind of just like are thrown out into the world and you're like, okay,
Good
now
luck.
what? Yeah, exactly. It was like so wild, but
Yeah.
it was just really fun. I had a really laid back school and I could like make my own hours. So that took a lot of pressure off of me as an adult, like living on my own in Chicago. It felt like, yeah, I just needed a school that was flexible and I found one and I loved it and I will forever be grateful. So shout out to Stephen Papa George Hair Academy in Chicago.
Okay.
They were wonderful.
Did you ever consider going to esthetician school instead of cosmetology?
I did.
Okay.
I did. I actually toured a school, Aveda,
Okay.
in Chicago, and it just wasn't as flexible. I couldn't conceivably like make a living on like pay my rent and then go to school.
Okay.
And it was just an astronomical cost as well.
Okay.
And I just was like, I think I'm going to stick with cosmetology because with cosmetology, you cover a little bit of esthetician school, like stuff like skin and hair and nails.
Yeah.
But I never thought that like that was like in my heart, you know, to do. So hair and makeup and that part was just more pulling at me more.
Okay, gotcha. I would think that cosmetology school, though, would have been a little bit more expensive, though, than aesthetics.
I mean, it was.
Okay.
But like at Aveda, I think I only wanted to go to.
Okay, so like you had your sights set on Aveda.
I had my sights set on Aveda
Okay.
for esthetician school simply because they had such a reputation, and then like the whole vibe there was just so spa, you know. It's like very calm, and like I just loved it, you know.
Yeah.
But the place that I went didn't offer esthetician school. It was just cosmetology. So
okay, gotcha.
Aveda does both, you know. And
so yours is specifically just cosmetology.
Yeah, I just remember like being drawn to the hair side. In particular, when I toured Aveda, I was just like, I think hair would be more me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just all about like the beauty industry in general. Like any avenue I can get like to, I will take it. And I've told you that before. Like I feel like skincare is where I started, and like that was like my first kind of like introduction into the professional side of, you know, the beauty industry. And I just felt like, okay, I know that this stuff is powerful, and I know that this stuff is, people love it.
Right.
And it's just like growing and becoming something so much bigger than what it was.
For those of you that don't know, I'm actually currently in esthetician school.
Yes.
So I'm on that journey right now. I, however, have no interest in hair, so I'm going there purely for skin. But I can see the draw, though, to go to cosmetology school over aesthetics. And I know I've had a bunch of questions of people just asking me about that too, just the pros and cons and what the difference is between them. And I know for sure that cosmetology school definitely is more expensive and lasts longer.
It does.
But I do see the draw, though, in going to cosmetology school because, as you said, you do cover everything just on a very like surface level, though.
Right. It's very basic. It's textbook, you know.
Yeah, because like you cover obviously hair, and then you're doing a little bit of skin, and then I'm just basing this off of what the cosmetology students at my school have said. And then you also cover nails too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Giving someone a pedicure. Whew. I don't think I made out for that, but that was fun.
I'm just not a person that would like touching people's feet.
No, it's not for everyone, for sure.
That just seems...
We were like this during the whole procedure, whatever, you know. That's what it felt like.
It's now an operation. Like, okay, we're going in. Let's get scalpels.
That's what it felt like. We were all just like dying laughing. I'm like, don't. Like, our fellow classmates, you know.
Right.
Just like, okay, just get it over with. And then you check that box and you move on. It's not like, you know, like a whole month of, you know, it's just like a week.
Wait, so did you guys not take like actual clients then?
No, we did, but
okay.
I wasn't ever like willing to take nails or or pedicures or anything like that. I was just like, I'll highlight your hair, like, you know.
Because I don't think our school has a choice. Like, I think you just are like randomly booked for people.
Gosh.
And so you don't have a choice, and you just kind of have to take the walk-ins that are assigned to you. It's a scary world.
My school, that's why I love my school so much. Like, they were like, are you willing to do this? And I'm just like, yes. No, you know.
That's great that you had a choice.
But some people were there to just do nails and hair and other things that were under that umbrella. But
right.
Not me.
Yeah, no, I'm happy for you that you had a choice because nope, our class is just like, all right, you have a walk-in, you're assigned to do this, and it could be anything under our scope of practice.
But there's something good about that too. I mean, it's going to prepare you better, you know. It's going to make you're going to be like, okay, I've done this, I can do this more.
Yeah. And I think about it too because, again, as you said, like in the real world, when you're in a salon or a spa or something, you have walk-ins all the time. That's true. I mean, you really have to be prepared, and you're never going to get to choose your clients, obviously.
That's true. That is so true. Yeah. And you have to be able to like pivot and like don't be afraid to go in the back and like YouTube something really fast or like TikTok, you know. You never know.
I can just imagine getting your client all set and it's like, okay, just be 1 second.
Hey, do you want a coffee or a tea? Okay, I'll be back in 5 minutes.
Let me just mix up this hair dye. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Goes in the back.
I mean, it's YouTube so normal to do that though. Like, I don't want anyone to think that it's not.
Okay, so I wanted to go back into the cosmetology versus aesthetics sort of field and relate it to being a makeup artist and a hairstylist. The whole entire reason that I'm in esthetician school right now, it initially started out as I found out that I needed a license in the state of Indiana
really?
to practice as a makeup artist.
Are
Did
you
I not
serious?
tell you that?
I mean, it doesn't make sense though, because it's like
It's not
Indiana.
permanent. Well, and it's not.
They don't want licenses for anything.
Okay, but at the same time, though, I also feel like Indiana is very old school. I mean, like, we're the
Yeah.
only state around us that hasn't legalized weed.
I know. That's
Like, we're very conservative.
They were trying to, for a while, remove cosmetology licenses and like let it be just like
I remember that. Wasn't there a whole petition that was
Yeah.
trying to get passed?
they were
Yep,
trying to
mhm,
say
okay,
like,
mhm.
oh, you can do hair without a license, and I'm like, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Because like you could literally like fry someone's scalp off, you know, like you could melt their.
Oh, so you could, like, literally dye people's hair and
That's
everything
what
and do, like, perms and
to my
everything. Like, with.
understanding.
Oh,
they were
God.
trying to eliminate the fact that you needed a license to do anyone's hair.
Okay.
And I'm like, no, I don't think that's smart.
Right. Yeah, that would be like with aesthetics if they decided that you didn't have to have an esthetician's license to do, like, chemical peels on people.
Oh my gosh, scary. Scary. People be walking around with like bloody faces. I couldn't.
Oh my gosh, that's terrifying.
And then you would have to, like, as a client, you would have to like do your research. Like, does this person have a license? Because if they don't, like, you know, you got to move on.
I know. It's like, I don't know how open the public would be for that, because I feel like having a license is obviously a credential that people look for,
I mean,
you know?
they should. Yeah. But like with makeup, I don't know. Like, there's a difference.
I don't know, because
glad.
I used to have like a very, I guess, negative idea of it when I first started. And I was like, oh man, like, why do I need to have a license to be a makeup artist? Because, I mean, not to out myself, but I've been practicing for, like, you know, the last 5 years without it.
But you did the makeup academy.
I was like, I got my certification and I thought that would be enough. And then I also worked for MAC and I got certified through there too.
That should be enough.
Well, and to me, like, and this is how I viewed it at first, but I kind of do get it. Because you are touching people's skin. You can cause allergic reactions if you're not careful, you know, like that sort of thing. But I think as long as you you can't just go out there and practice makeup willy-nilly and not have any sort of background. I don't think I think you should at least be certified by somebody or have training underneath somebody. But with me, like, makeup's not permanent. Like, and it's not going deeper than like the first layer of your skin.
Right.
It's not like aesthetics where you're going like into all of the skin layers and really like getting in there, you know?
I agree. That's why I feel like maybe that's why my brain goes there, because I'm like, you can wipe it off. You're not gonna
it's temporary.
scar someone, you know?
Yeah.
So maybe glue their eyelid shut, but like we can work with
I've done that.
Right. Haven't we all?
I actually talked about that on the first episode of the
Those
podcast.
little corners. You're like, can you open your eye? No.
The first episode of the podcast was me talking about the very first experience at MAC, because we did a MAC training for a week where we were sent out to Chicago actually to train and everything. And the very last day was when we learned how to do false lashes on people. But they flew us out there. So my flight actually left a couple hours earlier than the class was ending. So I had to leave before I figured out how to do false lashes, and nobody properly trained me. I went back to the MAC counter and I didn't know how to apply false lashes, and I glued a stripper's eyelashes shut.
Oh my gosh. A stripper?
A stripper, yeah.
Oh.
I did several strippers makeup.
Stripper.
Oh yeah, no, I did several strippers makeup in MAC.
Wait, where did you work? What MAC did you work at?
It's the one at Ulta.
Here in town?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I had no idea.
Yeah, I worked for that Ulta for I think 2 or 3 years prior or something, and then the MAC boutique opened inside of it, and then that was the one I worked at.
So strippers would come and just like say, do my makeup?
Yeah.
Or they like buy stuff too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So with MAC, at the time when I was working there, you had to buy, I think, like a certain dollar amount. I think it might have been like $65 worth of products or something.
In high school, I remember that. Yeah.
I think it was like 65 when I worked there, which is honestly like maybe 2 or 3 products depending on what you get.
Yeah.
And then you technically got your makeup application done for free.
That's what I mean. Like the sales of the beauty industry is so rough sometimes. You're just like out there just doing it.
Oh yeah. I was like, you gotta put in your dues. You gotta grind.
You gotta. I mean, I guess.
It's like started from the bottom and now we're here.
And it's great. It's glorious.
No, and actually getting like a little bit off topic. So I listened to some of the makeup podcasts that other makeup artists had launched recently. And in one of them, they were talking about makeup artists nowadays like not wanting to pay their dues, and they kind of just want to automatically be at that ultimate success level and don't want to really do the work.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
They can like get on TikTok and like YouTube and learn all of their skills there. But like honestly, I feel like in the long run, you'll see the difference, right? Like the work will be the difference, unless you're like insanely talented and you just out the gate are like, okay, here I am, like
just are natural going out there.
I am a gift, yeah.
Good for those people.
Good for those people, but like really, it'll show in the work that they do, and
for sure.
I mean, you should be able to see that. I think everybody's journey is different, but I don't necessarily think that it's the smartest thing to do. I mean, experience is supreme, you know, like you can't walk into some place and be a master at anything if you don't have the experience, you know?
Yeah.
So
I think that people honestly should kind of have like those shittier experiences.
Yeah.
Because if they don't, it's like they don't really have like the problem solving abilities, I think, to really make it.
It's like builds character, you know?
It does. Yeah. And you have to be a very strong individual sometimes in this industry.
Yeah.
Things are tough.
They are tough.
And people are not nice.
Up many times. Yeah. You're just kind of like, what do you want? You know?
Have you ever left events before and you literally just bawled your eyes out in the car?
I mean, yeah, like we've all been there. Not if it wasn't an event, it was at the salon where you're just like, I don't think I can make this person happy. You know, there's people like that, and you just have to like roll with it. Thick skin, fake it till you make it. You know, all of those sayings. Yeah, they're so true. And yeah.
So Malorie is a hair and a makeup artist, or was. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
But did you prefer doing one over the other, or did you like them both equally?
I honestly prefer doing hair over makeup, and I'll tell you why. I feel like makeup is so much fun, but it wasn't my like number one, because I don't know, I was always just confident in hair, and I just felt like more like I can just like whip it out, you know?
Yeah.
Makeup came with the demand. Like there were so many hairstylists, and they could find one just like no problem. And if they're, to be honest, like people would always go with the least expensive option, sadly. And so makeup became like my number one, because there weren't a lot of makeup artists around here. You know, you and I kind of teamed up, and then it was just like, who else is there? I mean, I know that there are some other people, but like, not to sound conceited. Oh my gosh, that sounded so funny.
No, it's all good.
I didn't mean that. But you know, like there's just not as many as there are hairstylists. I mean, there's so many salons. There's so many people out there doing hair, and yeah, I love the creativity that I can whip out with hair more than I do with makeup.
Right. Yeah, I always found it like whenever you did like bridal trials and everything.
Yeah.
You could always, I think, do at least like a couple of hairstyles, for instance. Like as long as you curl people's hair, you can kind of just like take the pins out, pin it back up, and then do like several different ones. Whereas like with makeup, it's a little bit more complex, because you'd have to take off a full face of makeup and then redo that makeup, and it would take like hours if you tried to do a couple of different looks.
Yeah, there's
so
just so much
makeup
more
is
pressure.
definitely more like extensive.
Yes.
Not like I'm saying that makeup's any more like serious than or hard than hair. Like I would never be able to do the styles that you've accomplished.
I will say though, I feel like people were less particular about their makeup simply because I think people just don't know how to do their makeup. So like when you're doing it as the professional, they're just like trusting you, and I think we're our own worst critics. So like we'll see things that they just wouldn't even point out, you know? And you're just like, okay, I'll redo this. Or maybe you probably have had more experiences with people being a little more picky, particular.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I've definitely had those too, but like, yeah, I would say like people just get more this little frizz here is sticking out. Can you fix that with hair versus makeup? I don't know.
I think there's just more elements to makeup.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's eyes, there's face, there's lips, and within eyes, there's eyeshadow, eyeliner, lashes, like everything like that.
Yeah.
And so there's just a lot more to like nitpick.
Yeah, you have to break it down.
I like to be very particular in my trials, and I'll be the person that will spend like a whole 2 hours like doing a trial with people.
Yeah.
But I think it's also really important too, because then you can fully consult with people and of course have small talk along the way and everything too. But I'll usually give a mirror physically, and it's like the worst on site, by the way. But
oh, I know. I'm like, please don't hold it too close.
I was gonna say, right? It's like, don't look at it and talk.
Just like back here. Like, don't
or no mirror at all.
Yeah. Just look at that, like your phone. Take it like from in your car. See ya.
But in the trials, at least, I'll usually have them hold the mirror and everything, and just take a look every once in a while. I'll just make sure that after each step we're kind of going in the right direction. I just feel like it takes a lot longer because there are a lot more steps. Although I do feel like hair and makeup though do come with like, I guess their set of like caveats almost, because they both can be things that people have very like unrealistic expectations about.
Oh my gosh. Totally. It's crazy. You'd see these, pictures and they're obviously like photoshopped and you're just like, okay, well, let me tell you a little something.
It's like, those are definitely a full head of extensions.
Yeah, that too. I mean, it's just like, and somebody comes in with like no hair and you're like, okay, well,
like very thin hair.
I feel like I was good at like communicating that with someone. Like they trust your opinion and you have to be brutally honest sometimes. And you can be brutally honest without offending someone too,
Right.
You have to just be like, well, and just lay it out. This person obviously has extensions. Yeah. But definitely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's so funny, thinking back on all those times, you're just like, sorry, this isn't going to happen.
So many people that just go to Pinterest and Google to find reference photos for their trials, for instance.
Yep.
And I'm just like, oh man, I was like, that is so photoshopped. Or they don't realize how dark like the makeup actually is. And I mean, obviously you've done makeup trials before too, so I'm sure you know. I feel like I get the same like 6 photos rotated over and over again.
I know.
I can specifically pull them up right now.
Me too.
You can be
I
like, okay, I've seen that. Okay, I've seen that.
Yep. I know. Me too.
You just probably like visualize them in your head right
I can. I'm doing it.
Right.
I see them all.
Seriously.
And it's so funny. Like, why is that?
I know. And they're not natural makeup looks. No. And everybody's always like, oh, I just want like a natural makeup look. And I'm like,
that's one of my questions in my trial. Like, what's your daily regimen? Like, what do you typically wear? And
that's a good
most people will say, like, I don't wear a lot of makeup. Well, this is a lot of makeup in the picture.
Oh, I'm just a mascara girly. But here's a picture of Kim Kardashian circa 2016.
Okay.
Full blown smoky eyes.
And then that takes away from their day because they're not going to look like themselves. Yeah. It's a whole thing.
And then speaking of weddings, what made you specifically get into weddings?
I think it was just by like chance. I mean, but I also like loved the feeling of just like being a part of someone's day.
Yeah.
And making them feel the most beautiful that they'll ever feel, like not ever, but like, one of the most beautiful days of their lives.
Yeah.
And that like is the reward for me, like once I started feeling that, I just was like addicted to it. You know, I just wanted to do more and grow and just help people have the best day. Not only like in their confidence, but just like the energy that I can bring to like, and I don't know, that was a huge selling point for me for that industry. And it was like a demand too.
I was just going to ask if it was.
Like I was working in a salon at the time that I like really started diving in, Shout out to the warehouse. I just felt like the weddings that would come in, like I was the go-to like person because I really loved it. Like no hairstylist will tell you, oh, I love updos, like I just loved updos and I was like all enthusiastic about them. Right. So I don't know. I just kind of listened to myself in that and just went with it, went into that direction.
Yeah. So did you get your first taste of really bridal and weddings when you were working at the salon then? Is that kind of how that started?
No, I actually did some weddings in Chicago as well.
Oh,
but for friends.
Okay.
And I did like that too, but I did most of my career here because there I was just kind of figuring things out,
How were weddings in Chicago different from weddings here? Like, did you see much of a difference?
Pricing. Yes,
for sure.
Pricing.
I just always feel like since Chicago's a bigger city, like everything would just be bigger.
It's bigger. It's I don't know. It's actually the same vibe. Like people are people, right?
The
like,
Midwest.
It's the Midwest. Everyone's nice.
Right.
And everybody wants the same thing. Like no joke. Everybody wants that no makeup, soft glam vibe. But like, no, I would say that the venues were really cool. Like they were like much more
I bet it was
grandiose, and I don't know. It just felt fun to like explore. But no, it's very similar.
Okay. Were the weddings like mostly downtown Chicago, or were they like on the outskirts?
A little bit of everything. Okay. Like mine, I would do mostly like where I lived. Like I wasn't really interested in going downtown, like, to be honest.
I'm sure that'd be really crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, when I worked down there, that was enough for me. I was just like, I'm gonna stick to my north side.
Yeah, no, I can only imagine that downtown would be kind of stressful because every single time my husband and I travel to Chicago, we always have an issue with parking. And then you have to lug your kid everywhere. You have to, like, if you're taking the train, like, imagine having to do that. I never really thought of that.
I would always just have my husband drop me off wherever I was going, and it's usually like a hotel, a really nice hotel. So like you can figure it out, but it's just not my favorite. It's a lot more hectic. Yeah. Just getting there. Like here, you can just like show up and park and like unload, There, it's just a little more.
Unless you're downtown Fort Wayne during the Three Rivers Festival.
Yeah, that's a little different. That's a different story. That's like, hey, Mr. Police Officer, we need you to let us through.
Oh my gosh.
Now. We're late.
No, this is a real life experience, by the way.
Oh my gosh, probably one of the craziest. Seriously.
Yeah, Malorie and I were doing a wedding. And I think it was one that I was assisting you with, right? It was your wedding?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we went with your other hairstylists that you were working with. Yeah. And we were all luckily carpooling with each other because I don't know what I personally would have done if I had to get there by myself.
We would have all
I didn't have a parking pass to the warehouse's parking lot.
Yeah.
What would I have done?
We had to do that. That was so annoying. And it never fails every year on Three Rivers. Like there's always a wedding there. Why? There.
And it's in July.
Yeah.
So like weddings.
I know, it's a big season.
Yeah.
It's a big month for the wedding season, I'd say. But like,
I know.
I mean, Three Rivers. We should just look that up on our calendar and just say like, I can't do downtown weddings on this day. Or
there we go.
We have to start at like 6 a.m.
It's like, which weekend is Three Rivers? I'm just going to block myself off for this
I'm out of
weekend.
town. I'll be celebrating Three Rivers. That was rough. But we made it though. I mean, we did it.
We did make it. Yeah. It was a little stressful.
Yeah. We had to like take a little detour around the city.
I still remember you guys calling the bride and be like, we're going to be a little bit late because parking.
Everybody was, that poor bride. Everybody was calling her though, like her friends, the bridesmaids, really? Everybody. Yeah. Okay. So
yeah, but it was actually a really fun wedding.
It was a fun wedding.
Yeah.
That crew was great.
That was one of the best weddings.
I love because
that was all the California girls, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. In the Chicago. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they were fun. All really fun.
They were really sweet.
Yeah. So it worked out. And I think we finished early. So it was like, we hustled in there. Let's go. Yeah.
Did you do hair and makeup for that one?
I think I did. Yeah. I think I did her hair and her makeup.
Okay.
Mostly makeup.
Okay.
Because she wanted me to do her hair.
Okay.
I think it was just her hair.
So you brought all your hair stuff just for the bride?
Yeah, I would do that. I know. I would do that. See, the hair stuff isn't the big part. It's the makeup stuff that when you bring all that, because hair I can probably fit in one bag, but like makeup too. But it's just when you have the both, and then you have to,
but with makeup though, you have like a whole setup. Like you have a sprawl of things that you have to lay out, and we need the table space for it.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah,
and hair is a little different. Like you can manage, with for sure a little more or less space. Mm-hmm. But that was really tough. Like looking back, I probably should have never said I do both, because everybody wanted me to do both, and you're just like, oh, well, I meant like I could do one or the other, not like everything. Yeah. I'm only one person,
Yeah, and actually that was one of the things that I wrote down for you too, because I was like, I figured that you got into both just because it probably was a greater demand for both. Yeah. And I have been pressured to do it too and everything too. And they're like, well, do you do hair? And I just keep saying no because I legitimately have such... I'm just like so bad at hair. I've tried.
I don't think you are, but you probably...
No, because... Okay, so... No, you don't even want to know. Okay, so I took a hairstyling course through the same company that I went through to get my online makeup certification.
Yeah.
And I had already done makeup by that point in time, so it was kind of more so like a refresher course and to get like my official certification over there on my wall.
Oh, so great.
And if you notice, there's no hairstylist certification over there because I never finished it.
Okay, you were like, I'm out.
Okay, because they no. I need to see if I could like send you some pictures of like what I did on my mannequin. They were teaching me like basic braids. Like I can't even French braid people's hair.
Okay, braids are hard.
But then the thing is, though, you always did like ponytails and buns really well on people.
Oh, thanks.
No. I just felt like that was like the style. Like, because I can specifically think of like the ponytail that you did on that bride.
Yeah.
At the Bradley, and that
pony.
was yes.
She loved her party pony.
No, you did so good at that though, and I tried doing it on my mannequin.
That's not easy. You think it's easy, but it's like actually really challenging to make a ponytail like fluffy and like fun, you know?
The thing is though, I feel like the simplest hairstyles are the hardest to accomplish.
They are.
Like those glam waves that are really popular right now.
I love glam waves.
I'm sure those are actually more difficult than it looks.
I guess.
Because I know you've done it on people before.
I've done it. I love that. That would be like my signature look if I like had to choose one.
More like the romantic kind of styles.
I just love doing them. And it's when you do them and you do them and you do them, you're like, okay, I know this. Yes. I know how to keep them. I know how to make them stay. I know how to make them wavy. I don't know.
Yeah.
I really think that the more you do it, the more you so that's why you shouldn't give up on hair.
You tell it to my mannequin head.
Oh my gosh.
You should
see my 4 mannequin heads from cosmetology school. They're like, I mean, at the end you end up like shaving them because you work on men's cuts and stuff. So it's like really sad. But
yeah. There's this whole entire wall of mannequin heads in my cosmetology
school. I remember that at my school.
It's terrifying.
I know, you're like, oh gosh.
I don't know if they are assigned one or something, or maybe they get it with their student kits or something.
You do.
When they
get in with your kit. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, it's so strange and so bizarre because we all have lockers and they'll shove their mannequin heads in the lockers and the hair will just be hanging out.
Yeah, you can just see it.
Like, oh, look, we just have a whole bunch of like hair just hanging out of these lockers. This isn't questionable at all.
Back. It's really taking me back. Like we would do that in our cars. Like you could see, you know, the hair just at the door. You're just like, oh, sorry, it's my head, my mannequin.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm going to totally digress, but have you seen that TikTok video where there's 2 police officers that comes to this lady's door?
Yes, I have. It's so that's so relatable because you're just like, oh.
And her weave was like stuck in the trunk.
They're like, ma'am,
and they're just like, ma'am, we got a couple of phone calls and they're like, are you like a hairstylist or something? She goes, no, why? And the police is like, oh, because like we've gotten phone calls about hair sticking out of the trunk of your car. And she's like, oh my God, that's my weave.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that. It's so funny. But like, whoops.
But I love the police officer's response because both of them just die laughing.
Yeah, they did.
Like they could not hold it together. There's no way.
Well, I mean, that's hilarious.
It's hilarious. I bet they still talk about it to that day because I know that was like a few years back.
They were like expecting to find like a body. But no, just a weave.
It made me think of that though.
That's what it is. Yeah, hair school is so funny. Those mannequin walls that when you see them all, you're just like, okay.
Oh my God.
Good work.
Our mannequins have been through stuff. Like
They've seen some things. Yeah.
I was like, some of them are like rainbow and then some of them are like completely shaved, which I'm assuming were for men's cuts. And then some of them are, you know, like somewhat pretty looking, you know, where they have like the nice curls going on and look like somebody actually took time and like, you know, did their hair and everything. And then some of them are just looking real sad here.
I know. I love how they all have like names too. They're like,
they all have names.
There's like Gina,
Cynthia,
Trina.
We had mannequin heads in the classroom that you
guys work on?
Yeah. Well, cool. Okay. So like not for hair. So we use them to practice facial massages on. But ours like really funny because like they don't have any hair on them, but they have just like the shoulders and they're cut off right below.
We had those too. Yeah.
And they look like the weirdest things just sitting on the shelf.
I know.
Because they're just like the shoulders and they're going.
Yep. I know.
They're just looking at you from the top shelf in the classroom. Our instructor's like, yeah, you guys can feel free to like bring them home and everything. And like, I don't think anybody actually brought them home.
Right. You're like, I spent enough time here. I don't need to.
I think it was partially because like I kind of traumatized myself at one point in time. So when I was taking the hairstylist course, it was a mannequin that you attached to the table and it like screwed in at the base. And it was so funny because I put it on my dining room table over there.
Oh, like you like put it on the stand?
Yeah, like I put it on the stand. Okay, so my bedroom is right across from like the vision of the dining room table. And so I woke up one morning to like go get a drink of water. And of course you're like half asleep when you wake up. Yeah. And I thought that somebody was like in my kitchen and I screamed really loud.
Oh, that's so scary. I've done that. My kids too have like been victim to that. And I'm just like, sorry. Yeah, it's scary. You can't, like, you see a silhouette and you're just like, oh my God, who's in my kitchen?
Yeah. No, but I like scream so loud and my husband's like, what? He comes jumping out of bed.
He's like, oh my God.
So that was so random. But like, yeah, no, that definitely traumatized me. And so I was like, no. I was like, I am not taking those mannequin heads home. It's not happening. Okay, so now that we got a little bit off track with the mannequin conversation, back on track here.
That's like us, though. We do that all the time.
Oh my God, we just have hours of conversation. That's why I was like, oh, we'll have plenty of things to talk about. In fact, we'll probably be at this for hours. So if you want a late night, then here we go.
This is like why I loved our car rides so much.
Yes, I know.
Like, what are we going to talk about? Everything.
For those of you who don't know, this is actually the first time I've ever hosted anything. And so I think you were like the perfect person to have in this because we're already comfortable with each other. So
totally.
And we've talked to each other for hours before.
Know. And it's been too long. We need to like,
actually catch up. Okay, so back to the main topic, which was originally hair and makeup.
Yes.
And not TikTok videos. I want to talk about this for a second. So Malorie actually no longer works as a hair and makeup artist anymore. She left me last year.
Yes.
And I'm so sad about it because I was just lost for a minute. I was like, dang, who else am I going to find?
I know. It was a sad thing for me too. Really.
So I guess tell everybody what made you come to that decision.
I mean, the main reason was for my family. And just to simplify it, I mean, I felt like I was being pulled in so many different directions and how many directions you're pulled just in your business. So
I can't even imagine
having, I have 3 kids, a husband, and I just felt like it was just a lot. It was just too much for me in this part of my life.
Having 3 kids without a business seems like a lot.
It is.
So I can't imagine it with one.
And that was like the hardest part was like starting to realize like, okay, I think that this chapter is like coming to an end because my kids are more important to me at this time than anything else. And I just wasn't able to give it my 100.
Right.
And like for me, that's really hard because like I'm the type of person that if I'm going to do something, like I want to do it like wholeheartedly, be able to devote every hour of my day to it.
Right.
And I just felt like at a crossroads where I was like, I can't be the best mom right now if I'm doing this too.
That makes a lot of sense.
I couldn't be the best of both. I just needed to pick one. So.
Yeah. And obviously being a mom always comes first.
It does. Yeah. And it took me a little bit to get there because it's hard to walk away from something that you've only, known for your adult life.
I'm sure that was a huge shift for you.
It was really hard.
Yeah.
But I'm now in a place where I'm putting myself first and my kids are there too. And it's just really good. Like for a while when I was doing that, I wasn't prioritizing myself at all.
Yeah.
So it was really taking away from a lot of things in my life. So
Right.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it was having the 3rd kid that tipped you over there?
Oh yeah. Everybody told me going from 2 to 3 is crazy. And I was like, oh, we'll be fine. And then I love her so much, but it's whew.
I was going to say, I feel like it's just the ratio that's off, because at least with 2 kids, it's you have 2 parents. Yeah. So it's mom and a dad and then the 2 kids. So each of you can watch after the other one. But then with 3, it's oh, now we're outnumbered.
Yeah. And there's just something about 3 that no matter what, there's always somebody that's upset. It doesn't matter. There's just always somebody that's you're just managing so many emotions. So they kind of ping pong off of each other.
Oh,
so I'm just constantly
just a chain reaction.
Yeah. Well, 2 of them will be playing and then the other one will feel left out or somebody wants this and then, and I'm just constantly in there just everybody needs to get along,
Right.
It's an emotional roller coaster, 24/7.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
Even through the night, it is still.
Yeah, for sure.
So
yeah, but no, as you said though, I'm sure it was a very hard decision though.
It was, yes,
because you did build yourself up for quite a bit of years.
Yeah, and then I feel I found you, and that was such a good relationship that was just built, and our businesses were thriving, and it was just a really hard time to walk away. Even harder, you know, I'd say.
Right.
Because you could see the potential there, you know.
I know this is kind of hard, but like, do you feel you were kind of like at your peak when you quit?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do. And it's like, it haunts me a little bit.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, do you like think back and be like, well, what if I didn't and just continued on?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, I still get people reaching out. I had somebody reach out today.
Do you really still reach out?
Yeah, today.
Oh my God.
And I was just like, I have gotten really good at saying no.
Okay.
I mean, it's still kind of hard because I can like think of, you know, oh, I mean, I could, you know, I could just pop in there. But then if I say yes once, it's just going to do what happened last time, I know. So
Yep. And you're just going to let it in at that
and
point
I will
in
let
time.
it in. Yeah. So I have to like stick to my word,
Yeah.
to myself, you know, and my husband. And we just are so much, we're in such a better place, really.
Good,
Like
good.
we really are. So
Yeah.
as hard as it is to say and leave and all that stuff,
I know.
see the purpose, you know, on the other side. So
Yeah, I'm sure it's a lot less stressful.
it is. I mean, it's still stressful, but it's not.
Just in a different way. But at least you're
Yeah.
not having to juggle that extra thing now.
I can only give so much.
Yeah.
And I wanted to give the world to my brides, but like I couldn't anymore.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it anymore.
I don't know. And then with like bridal as opposed to everything else, it's so emotionally involved. Like you really, if you truly do have a passion for your job like that, you're investing everything that you have and all of your energy into your brides.
Day and night. You're not just showing up to job.
No,
like you're
no,
like
no.
doing a
You're
lot
with
more
them.
behind the scenes and people don't really realize that. Until they do. It goes back to why I even started. Like I loved making people happy. Like I just
Yeah.
loved that feeling. And yeah, when I realized I wasn't capable of like giving that anymore, that's when I knew like
Yeah.
I had to
Yeah.
close the chat. Yeah, just close it up.
I want to say that even though I was obviously very sad about
Yeah.
it, I do have really mad respect for you and the fact that you did definitely say, okay, I'm putting my foot down. This is all I can handle.
Thank
and you
you.
did what you could for your family.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
It really means a lot, honestly, when you would say that and people
Yeah.
would give me the support. And I don't know, like sometimes you're like, oh, they're just being nice. But like, no, I genuinely like, it means a lot.
No, it takes a lot.
It does.
It takes a lot.
It does. It's like one of the bravest things I think I've ever done. Just like accepting that like it's okay. Like it's okay.
And it's okay to say no,
It's
which
okay.
is really hard.
Yeah.
I
It
get
is. It is.
I hate saying no to
because
people. I get it.
Yeah. I guess I'm a people pleaser, but like
Yeah.
I just really enjoy making people happy. You know?
But it's good.
Yeah.
I'm happy for you.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right. And I think that's actually a good ending point for
Okay.
this. So hopefully all of you guys enjoyed this first episode with Malorie.
Yay. This was so much fun.
Good.
Thank you for having me. I really am
welcome.
honored.
We're going to be filming another episode together. So stay tuned for that. That's about it. So yeah, I'll talk to you guys in the next episode. Bye.